Hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Absa, how to play an Absa deck, and a little bit about how to build an Absa deck. These are just my thoughts, right? So feel free to disagree with me. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Join the Discord, talk about it. But here we are. We're going to talk about my thoughts on Absa. So I don't think that Absa is a good candidate for a mono element deck, meaning mono being like a single element where all of your cards would be air cards, or sometimes you play like an air rival and then all earth cards. I just don't think Absa is well suited to that for a couple of reasons. I mean, Absa's Volt Match triggers a shock combo when you match numbers. So you really only need to match numbers with one card, and then everything from there depends on whether or not that card that you matched with can claim or capture is strong enough to beat other cards next to it. So to that end, you want to fill the board with strong cards. You want big numbers. You don't want debuffs on all of these other elemental slots. So that's why I don't think mono element's very good for Absa. Because then all of these, you have a strong card here, maybe have an okay card here, and then you have, just really, like in the middle of the board, if you end up with a bunch of minus numbers on your cards, maybe you can match, and maybe the shock combo goes to that point, and then the shock combo dies because your card can't recapture anything. Anyway, so that's weird. This is a very hard bot, but we're just gonna keep on going, pretend that didn't really happen. The way that I like to play this deck is, basically just playing these cards. These fodder type cards on those +3s, get as much of a buff as you can on them. I will go ahead and play this weak card here. Okay. So now that we've got some cards on the board, we want to take a look at a couple of things. What cards could we secure? What sort of chains can we set up? And then we have this avatar here as well, which is a really strong anchor if you can capture. You need an air, earth, and fire card, and then the water, it counts itself when you play it. So once you have all 4 elements, or rather all 3, plus the water, then it's a really great card for mid to late game. This, however, I have an idea here. So this, I have a chain right here. I didn't mention it before. Basically, there's a chain opportunity right here. So playing this didn't recapture this card right away, but now it's eligible to be recaptured by that chain. Honestly, it's good enough for me. When playing an Absa deck, you don't want to get too greedy with your chains. You don't want to get too elaborate in trying to get... You do want value out of your chains, but some value is fine. You don't need to try and set up a chain that can capture the entire board. This is probably more value than you will ever get against human opponents, simply because human opponents know what numbers you have. They can play around it. Question is, I'm going to go ahead and play Rough Puff here. There's an argument to be made for playing Avatar, but if he plays here, or rather the opponent, then I'm able to recapture with this card. Well, darn, I can't actually reclaim that at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in this spot, make sure I can't take either the Fullet or the Absa. 3 is an okay number. Rough Puff, you can kind of expect that that's going to be captured. But at the end of the day, these are trades we are definitely winning, and that should net us a win. So with this deck, again, I try to focus on flexibility. And that is where, it's fine if you don't get a Volt Match combo from Absa. It's fine if it just ends up being a strong air card. It's also fine if you don't proc Avatar, but what you're really looking for is you're looking for some form of value out of one of the two. Hopefully both. Definitely, hopefully both. Um, but you don't want to tunnel vision yourself and pigeonhole yourself into a bad scenario because you were too focused on activating those abilities. Now, one of the other things I wanted to talk about is these numbers on these cards. There are other cards that match more naturally with Absa, um, but I don't really play or care about those in that sense too much. Sorry, I'm thinking. I think this is an okay. Is that? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Anyway, as I was saying, so the values on these cards, again, like if I play the Follet here, get that +3, Absa doesn't really naturally, or even on a +1, in a lot of ways, match with this card, and that's fine. To me, that's totally fine. That's sort of what the home field, and most especially the defenders are for. The defenders really are, I think, key in hitting those matches. Let's see. And I've chosen defenders, you can see, that have like some pretty weak sides. Same with Rough Puff. Having weak sides in an Absa deck, I don't think is a bad thing. I think it's actually a pretty good thing. And the reason that I say that is because you want your cards to be recaptured, and then you want to chain through them later with Volt Match. Sorry, I'm just looking at my options here. I'm in a pretty tough spot, but here's another reason that I picked some of these cards. So I'm going to play this here, and if he doesn't recapture that card... Oh, I forgot. I would need him to have taken that card. So never mind. Yeah. So this didn't go very well for me, but well enough. You can see Defender really is the key here. I would have loved to get some of the cards in the top left corner, but Defender is the key to Absa, in my opinion. It obviously can be played around, it can still be shut down, but if you're looking for consistency, that I would say is your most consistent activator or setup to activate Absa is Defender. As to building an Absa deck, like which cards in specific you use, I don't think that matters too much. But what I do think is important is that you can capitalize on the +3 slots on the board. So having different elements. And I think it is important to... The home field isn't really important, but you need defenders and you need multiple elements. I really like the home field in this deck because if you lead home field, like in a tournament setting or just a competitive setting, it often can make your opponent wonder if you are running just a single element air deck. And then maybe followed up with Rough Puff. And then by turn 3, it might really look like you're just playing like just air. Which, you know, only lasts you, game 1, only lasts you a couple turns. But it's still something to consider. And I think the home field is good. Because at this like deck composition, you only have room for a 2-power card after everything else is placed. And basically your options are, I think Rough Puff is really good and should stay. So your options really are to upgrade one of these to a 2, to upgrade one of these to a 5, and downgrade this to a 1. So relatively speaking, I think for, you know, having an air card that you can play on a +3 air and maybe being able to mislead your opponent into thinking that you have just a single, like a mono air type deck, That's why I'm a fan of the home field. Plus, it can cancel out some of those, if you can use it to cancel out some of those +1 spots. I'm also a pretty big fan of that too. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful, helpful. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you feel inclined. But this has been a short look at how Absa works, how to deck build, and how to play. And I really do think the name of the game is flexibility. If you can get some value out of Absa's rival ability Volt Match, it's really all you're looking for, is some value. So definitely, you know, don't wait too long on pulling the trigger, because like against AIs, I was able to always get Volt Match off and get it to work. Against human opponents, I think they're typically much better at playing around that rival ability. Anyway, that's it for me for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video.